Check it out, everybody! How to play Corneroids HD Redux. Thanks for joining me. So, first thing you're going to want to do is head on over to the Corneroids website, download first the installer, and then the executable. Copy the files over and merge them together. Then you can play Corneroids. But before we get started, we need to get a tile set. Check the description for the link to Chief Anon's Redux of Darth Nox's tile set. Download it and merge the files together, and then we can play. When you first start it up, you see this screen right here. Single player and options. Let's go to options first straight away, just to explain some things very quickly. Under gameplay, you're going to want to check fix camera when aboard. This makes it really easy for first-person shooters or people who are familiar with first-person shooters to get right into this game. The next thing you want to adjust is gamma, or just look at gamma. It's by default maxed out, but typically you're going to want to play with it actually at this lower portion right down here at like 3 or 5 or something like that. For the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to leave it all the way up. Alright, everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Make sure you turn the graphics up so that you can get the full experience. There are no sounds and no network yet, but those will be there very soon. Alright, so let's start a new game. You want to create a new one. You're not going to see all these up here because I've played this many times. You're going to want to pick a tile set, which we downloaded earlier. In my case, I'm going to do this one, which is what I downloaded, and I'm just going to call it. And then you're going to want to put your name right here as the author of the world. Click OK. It'll generate the world. It takes a very short amount of time. Click Tutorial and play. Takes just a second to load. Welcome to Corneroids. Take a moment and read this. I'm not going to. When you first start, you're going to notice some very simple things up on your heads-up display. You got health, power, and a hotbar. You can scroll the hotbar using your scroll wheel on your mouse, and you can use the number keys as well. Health is represented with the red from 0 to 100. 0 is death, 100 is health. Power is used by guns and the sprint ability, which you get to by holding down shift. You can move around with your WSAD keys. The white icon that appeared when I got close to this asteroid indicates that I'm connected to this asteroid. So if this asteroid moves, I move too. That works with ships as well. You press C, which is the default for your items, or I set it up as Q, which I think makes a little bit more sense, because E is use, which we'll get to. When you first start, you see on your left-hand side, you see your character. This is where you put your power reactors, so that your suit can carry more power and recharge faster. This is where you put your armor. You can make it from anything from titanium to aluminum to iron. You start with a cobalt pistol and a mineral extractor. Let's grab these guys over here and put them on our hotbar as well. You're going to want to grab one of each of these. The crafting table, the ore furnace, and the iron drill. This is your trash can. You can throw things away in there. And the items on the right here have an unlimited amount. Every item has a stacking amount as well. Some items can stack up to 64. Some can stack well into the hundreds, even 256. Let's get the drill out. Scroll to it, and you see our flashlight is already on. You can press T to turn that on and off. If you're having problems with the lights, make sure you adjust them in the graphics. Press and hold to mine up resources that you see. The first resource you're going to want to grab is this lightly colored rock called Icy Rock. The second one you're going to want to grab is this kind of rocky looking one called cobaltite. Cobaltite allows you to create a lot of the weapons, including ship cannons, and the light rock allows you to create thrusters. Over here we can see one of the ores. This is aluminum ore. With our weak drill, we won't be able to mine it. You can see that with the yellow pixels. But you can mine it with gray pixels, and of course you can upgrade your drill. Next thing we're going to want to go to is the crafting table. When placing objects, it's good to note the two red lines. The red arrow pointing up currently is the orientation of the block. Right now that way is oriented up, and the red arrow points to what object that block is connected to. So if I place it here, even if it's in the air, as you can see, or floating above this asteroid, if the asteroid moves, this will move as well. Same thing with me. Even though I'm floating above it, I will move as well because you can see the white in the bottom right hand corner, the white boot icon. So I'm going to place it here. I'm going to place the extractor, and I'm going to place the furnace. Left click to place. Left click is placing, but you can also right click to make it disappear so you can get a better view. So if you have a big block in your face, you can just right click so you can see better. Okay? Run up to one of these items and press E to use it. You can see all the crafting recipes right here. If you don't see this, it's because you are using an older version of Corneroids, or you haven't used one of the new item tile sets that I've told you to download. Clicking one of these allows you to see the different crafting recipes, and mousing over each one tells you what it takes to make it. Very good. When looking out into space, you'll notice two numbers on each of these asteroids you can see distant in the distant space. The first one is the distance of the asteroid. The second one is the size of the asteroid. 1,095 meters away and 11,031 tons. The larger the asteroid, the rarer the minerals you'll find on it. You're typically going to want to find asteroids that are 20 and up. That's where you're going to find the good stuff. 25 and up is where you find the rarest, which is radium. So the larger the asteroid, the better. Small ones like this are good for really just cobalt and this icy rock. To get the icy rock that you've mined up, you simply walk over to one of these guys, or float over. Take the item you want to craft off your hotbar. You cannot craft with items that are on your hotbar. And press E to use. First thing we want to do is extract ice shards from the icy rock. You can left click to create one at a time, and right click to create half of it at a time. You can see that right there. Now we're going to go to the furnace and smelt the cobaltite into the cobalt rubble into cobalt ingots, and melt the ice down to shards. Then we're going to go back to the extractor and turn it into hydrogen. Then we want to go to the crafting table. Now we can create our first few thrusters as long as we make some light iron blocks. So we'd have to go around and collect some more. So you fly around the asteroid and you collect it up. So on to guns. Left click to fire, and you can see it uses up your power. The more powerful guns shoot faster and do more damage. There are various enemies to watch out for. Here's one right here. The purple guy is known as a parasite. They will eat the asteroid, and they will eat you as well. So I'm going to shoot him and cause him to come after me. He's pretty dumb, but he's fairly easy to kill. There is one other type of asteroid munching parasite, and that is right there, the spore spawner. It dies after launching 3 projectiles that home onto you. Easy to dodge, and even easier to take care of in tight quarters. This purple one, this parasite, is probably the worst one to take on. Now on to making ships. First thing you want to do is make some plating. I'm going to use aluminum. And then you have to make some power blocks, these are the weakest ones, just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to use these. Some cable blocks, and then some thrusters. I have some weak ones right here. This character I've played a little bit longer. You can see I have much more powerful weapons, power sources, and armor. All of these are mineable, and you can create them all. Here's some cannons as well. So as of now, I'm going to show you how to just quickly build a spaceship. When you first start building your ship, you have to make sure that that red line coming out of the bottom is not connecting it to anything, letting you know that it is floating in deep space. You can see as of now, no red lines connect to any of my other ships or that asteroid. And you see now that red line connects back to that block I placed. Build your ship any way you want. You have to keep in mind the Newtonian physics. So if you make a ship with too much thrusters on one side, it'll fly kind of funky. Place down your power generators however you wish. Moving up to them and pressing F lets you know that how much power you have on your network. There are 2 blocks on this power network, and it gives me a power balance of 40. The more powerful reactors, the more juice you can create. You press R to change the orientation by default to whichever direction you want, so the blocks will look the way you want them to. This cable block must be adjacent to whichever block it's transferring power from. When they're unpowered, they're gray, just like that, and that's how you know that they're not transferring any power. But they allow me to transfer power from the power devices like this to other ones like this thruster. The thrust orientation is very important. The direction that the thrust is going to, or the propellant is going to be shot out of, is going to be the location with the largest opening, as you can see right here. I'm going to place it right on the end. And there you go. You can tell it's powered because it lights up. See the blue? No blue. I'm going to mine these up right here and clean this up. So we've made a torpedo, basically. And we can fill it out a little bit more. And there you go. All this will do right now is just shoot straight once we make a control block. So I'm going to make a control block right now. We're going to place down the crafting table, move up to it, and we can check out the console blocks right here. It takes a standard cobalt power block, crafting table, and a light iron block. So we have all those except for the power. We're going to create one right here. One click, create one. We go back to the console and make one of these. The Canon control block works exactly the same way this does, so I'm only going to show you how this works. Place it right at the front here. And I'm going to need to power it, so I'm going to put a cable block underneath it. And there you go. It went from gray to yellow. When you press E, it locks your character into place, and it doesn't allow me to move with any of the WSAD keys, and I can only look around. And I press E again, or whatever the default for use is, and I can move around. It does nothing right now because we have to wire it up. Press F to get control to the back side, or the control side of the console block. To wire up the console block, press F once while looking at it, and then press it again. Then you can select which keys command which color block. In this case, I'm just going to click on the red one, and I'm going to use the space bar. And then we're going to go back, and it brings us back to the command that we have when we press F once. Now I'm going to move over to the rocket at the back here and click it just a couple times to make sure that it's red. That's how I know that the spacebar will control this. Right click to deselect. Moving back up to it, once you make a camera block, which we can make right over here under cameras, you can wire it up as well just by using the camera button down at the bottom. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to right click to cancel that, and we're going to test this out. I used a very weak thruster, so this shouldn't go very fast. Press E to use, now spacebar, and we'll start to move forward, as you can see. And you can see the particles moving out the back there. All this does is move forward. We're going to crash. Crashing has no penalty at this moment except to make things bounce off and kind of float off in some random direction. So there you go. To make a functional ship, you're going to want to put thrusters on each side, kind of opposing each other, just like that. And then wire them up accordingly. I put thrusters on opposing sides of this surfboard, wired them all up, and put the console block in the middle. Wiring up a complex ship like such just requires pressing F multiple times, and I've wired it up just like this. And you can see all the colors. You can cycle through them just by clicking several times. But let's fly this spaceboard. It's like a surfboard. It's very slow because I use the weakest thrusters possible. But it's flyable. Barely. And it will get you from asteroid to asteroid. But I recommend making cool things. And I also recommend putting brakes. But that was the quick tutorial. Check it out. We're playing Corneroids. How to play. Let me know if this is helpful. See ya.